Hanging with the Rollo team today from William Ravis in Boston. Got Dante Brazzi in studio. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. And
always a pleasure.
There's a lot of cash offers out there today. We also see a lot of people that are looking to finance properties. How does that person that is taking a loan compete with that cash buy?
Right, and I think there's a lot of offers in general on the table right now. You know, there's a ton of cash offers, there's a ton of financing options as well, and people will take that. And to have that competitive edge, I feel like having tight dates, making sure you can close under X amount of time, or just simply accommodating with the seller's interest. If the seller needs a new home, obviously they can't move quick. So, you know, contrary to popular belief, a lot of people think that you just have to move within 30 days. But as I said, it could be 30, it could be 40, it could be 50. You know, work with the seller. Make sure everything works on that point. You want to get into purchase and sale super early because that's going to show good faith to the seller as well. Put down your deposit, how much you're willing to put down at that point. Obviously protect yourself, but you want to make sure that you're aggressive with those timelines as well.
That's where people don't realize working with a professional like yourself really makes a difference. Asking the right questions. What is the seller ultimately looking for? That can drive the way that you actually structure the offer.
Absolutely. And another thing too is that, you know, the sellers want to have the easiest process moving forward, right? So I think that, you know, if you're comfortable enough and you want to go into an inspection and you say, hey, look, I'm willing to put in, you know, a new water heater. I'm willing to, you know, put in like, you know, the little things like a doorknob or a closet, you know, instead of pinching the seller for some extra change, maybe you can put an inspection threshold on your offer. This way it will leverage your offer and say it's not technically waiving your inspection, but at the same time it's showing good faith saying, hey, look, you know, we're coming in for educational purposes to see this home. We're not going to pick you apart with every little thing in this house. So it's just a little something.
And from the financing side, I think people don't realize we finance cash offers all the time where people are waiving their mortgage contingency. Right. We're just having everything in place. Make sure you have a full pre-approval, we call pre-commitment, where you're ready to go from the financing side and can move quickly.
And I'm not too big on that personally myself because I don't want my buyer potentially losing a ton of money down. God forbid something go wrong and they lose their job, something catastrophic happens. And you know, you have to think worst case scenario a lot of the time too. Absolutely. You know, and I see a lot of people that are waiving their mortgage contingencies, and that blows my mind. I think that if it's not meant to be, why risk your earnings and savings that you're building to build a house and put it on one house if it doesn't make sense, you know? So you want to go and like to a specific threshold with everything, but you don't want to go over it, you know? Like you want to protect yourself at the same time. But in order to beat a cash offer, a lot of the times cash, they come in, they lowball. They'll think like, hey, look, I have cash. I'm going to come in 20 under ask. So you want to make sure that you're accommodating with the seller too. You don't want to lowball with the mortgage, you know, financing, and it just wouldn't make sense. So you want to come in at a reasonable offer with a price, and like I said, at the end of the day, have all your dates tight as well.
Great points, and it really goes to show you how competitive today's market is.
It's crazy. Yeah, it really is crazy.
Well, thanks, Dante.
Appreciate it.
For stopping by. And if people want to connect with you directly?
Yeah, so you can go on ericrollo.com. You can also follow our team page at Team Rollo Boston, and my personal page is at Dante Brazzi on Instagram.
We are at RE Talk Boston. Remember, we have more tips just like this right here on boston.com. We have the Rollo team in studio today, and I'm with the Eric Rollo. Eric, thanks for bringing the team and stopping by today.
Thanks for having us in, Chris. I appreciate it.
Hot topic is the Boston market, and is the city being overbuilt? Comes up frequently. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't necessarily think the city's being overbuilt. I think it's the type of housing that we're building is kind of the issue, especially for first-time buyers and young professionals that want to live and work in the city. We're seeing a lot of luxury high-rises and luxury buildings going up, and we're seeing a lack of, you know, affordable housing that someone, you know, my age or people on my team's age can actually afford.
Sure, and it looks like people are getting pushed out into communities just outside of the city. A lot of those areas are on fire right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So Dante, Torrin, Jason and I were actually having a conversation about this just the other day, and Dante was referencing Revere and Everett really having a big bump in terms of home values. And it's true because I think anything transit-oriented, anything that's convenient to get people to work or play in the city is becoming a more viable option for people that really desire to be in that downtown area. I personally live in Jamaica Plain, and the reason I ended up there 3-4 years ago was because I couldn't afford the South End or the Fenway where I wanted to be. But Jamaica Plain had that vibrant downtown feel and easy access to downtown Boston. I think you're seeing that now in areas like East Boston, Revere, and even Winthrop.
Absolutely. And they're right by the water as well. So it's convenient to water and the city. There's a lot to offer.
Absolutely. Best of both worlds. Not to mention you also have access to the Winthrop Ferry, and then water taxi service to and from East Boston to downtown Boston has been a big draw for a lot of our clients in those areas. The other nice part about those areas is a lot of banks, a lot of lenders have programs that are trying to get more market share in underserved communities. So it's something that buyers should look at because they may be able to stretch their dollar further. For instance, First Republic has a program right now that's offering a 30-year fixed rate for 3.25% in certain neighborhoods, and it's address specific more so than neighborhood specific, but it's a really great way for folks to think about stretching their dollar, especially as interest rates continue to rise.
You can buy more home, and there's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac programs out there that we offer as well with little down payment, as little as 3%, let's say, which opens up the door. Because when you get into downtown Boston proper, the price points don't allow you to do that. In most cases, you're looking at least 10, 20% down, whereas the neighboring areas, you can have those low down payment programs that will make a difference and allow you to get in for less money.
Absolutely. The other big consideration is when you're in closer to the city, a lot of the offer situations are very competitive. When you're venturing a little bit further out, you might not be up against 7, 8, 9, a dozen other offers. So your dollar is a little more powerful in those areas than it might be in downtown Boston.
Great information. Thanks, Eric. And if you'd like to connect with Eric and his team directly, check out ericrollo.com, right?
Yep.
Any handle on Instagram?
We're on Instagram at Team Rollo Boston, and you can also find us on Facebook. We're at Rollo RE.
More information just like this right here below on boston.com. Typically, we're talking about purchasing real estate. We're going to actually flip to the other side, talk rentals with Kit Farrington from the Rollo team.
Yes.
Thanks for stopping by, Kit.
Thanks for having me, Chris. It's really exciting to be here.
What's interesting about today's market, it's really tight on the purchase side. It's also very tight on the rental side.
Something that I like to have clients keep in mind is that there are certain things that you can prepare yourself before you're even going out and looking at apartments. Before you're stepping in and opening that door, you should recognize that landlords are looking for typically 3 things. It starts with your credit, and we're looking for something along the lines of 700 plus in credit scores. And on top of that, we have an income verification where we look for 3 times the monthly rent for a monthly income. And on top of that, we also are looking for really good landlord references. So you don't want to have to call up your old landlord and they're not going to have nice things to say about you. So having those good relationships, it speaks volumes. And it's something that I think if you want to be working in this competitive market, you should be keeping in mind that if you want to have a good application, there are steps that you can take to have an even better application.
Credit is such a main driver of so many things in life when it comes to personal finance and
Definitely.
buying a home or a car or renting a property. It's amazing to me that schooling doesn't create more of a focus on credit. But
I couldn't agree more, actually.
It really is amazing. You're just trying to get out of the gate, renting a property, finding a good place to live.
Yeah.
Credit matters.
Absolutely, it does matter. And unfortunately, with everyone having to pay for college and student loans, it's not easy to have great credit. So the other thing that we can offer is you can have a guarantor, so you can have a co-signer on your credit. If you have, an uncle who, is looking out for you, or parents, or it's one of the better moves that you can make to ensure that if you don't have great credit, you can have a co-signer who does, and they'll be looking out for you.
Let's talk about searching for rentals. What's the best way to do that? There's a lot of sites out there.
Oh, Chris,
what's the best way to attack?
So I immediately know that you're talking about Zillow, Trulia, and all those. And it's tricky. It's not always black and white on those. It's a lot of people who are not actually realtors, and I'm not going to tell clients not to go on those sites, but also you have to be really wary. Sites like Zillow, sites like Craigslist, you can't guarantee that you're not going to be wasting your time, or that you're not going to be finding something that isn't necessarily real.
That's the key. I think a lot of people don't realize whether you're looking to rent or buy. When you go onto those big sites, we don't need to name names, that just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's fact.
Yeah,
right? And,
yeah.
I've heard stats that a lot of times that actually those sites are anywhere from 60 to 75% legit. So that leaves a lot of room for error. You have to connect with a professional,
Definitely,
like the Rollo team, whether you're buying or renting, to really connect and find that right property.
Absolutely, and that's why I'll also tell my clients, it's your prerogative to go out and do your own search on top of what, the services that we do provide. And if you want, I typically have clients send me the references or send me the links to whatever they found. And that way it's just easier. When I'm reaching out and I'm saying, hi, I'm a realtor, as opposed to, hi, I'm just a so-and-so person, I won't even get responses. And that's how I kind of know, like, okay, that wasn't real, or I can wean out what is and isn't good for my clients.
Great information. If you're looking to rent in the Boston market, Kit Farrington,
I'm your girl.
the Rollo team.
Definitely.
Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks so much for having me, Chris. This is great.
This is Real Estate Talk Boston. More tips right here on Boston.com. Here with Jason Adams from the Rollo team in Boston, William Ravis. Jason, thanks for coming by.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
The common theme in today's market is it's really competitive out there. How do you prepare to enter into a market like this, especially as a first-time home buyer?
Yeah, I mean, it can be daunting. It can be very overwhelming and it's intimidating. But the most important thing is just to be level-headed and have everything prepared, have a good strategy. So you need an advisor who's able to convey their experiences. It's not really a do-it-yourself sort of business. Sometimes people want to play real estate agent. All the power to them. I would say go ahead and try, but it's going to be very difficult without the experience in the market.
Well, they think that the internet gives them so much information because a lot is on the internet. But when it comes down to navigating today's market, being teamed up with a professional is really what makes the difference.
Absolutely, and it's not just me. Like, we don't know everything. We're always learning. But when you're on a team, you have the infinite resources of everyone else's connections and the brokerage community at large, which is very, very tight in Boston. So it's really an advantage.
You had mentioned the word prepared, right?
Yeah.
How important, or how do you prepare to enter into this market? Like, what are the key points you want to make sure that you're checking off?
Of course. So typically we would say, you want to get pre-approved, not pre-qualified, but you have to have the physical certified pre-approval letter from a lender that they did a forensic analysis of your financials, so you know your budget. But also, you shouldn't go by that. You should go by your own comfort level. Like, you have your own budget in mind, because just because someone gives you a pre-approval letter for $1 million doesn't mean you should go out and spend that much. You should be comfortable with your own budget and just be aware of that. That's the first step.
Great point. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is you have to think that through. Coming from the lending side, I always talk to people about what the bank is willing to lend and what they feel comfortable with. Go through the exercise by yourself or with your partner if you're buying it with somebody else to figure out what works into your budget, right? Because what the bank says they're willing to lend you versus what you feel comfortable with could be two different numbers. Getting pre-approved, not pre-qualified, big difference. Providing the bank with all of the necessary documentation. Is it a pain to a point? Yes, but you're going to have to do it at some point.
Absolutely.
Eliminate that factor from it.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, a little analogy I give just to prove the point is that when people are looking at property with an intent to buy without a pre-approval letter, it's like going to a sold-out concert without a ticket. I mean, you just stand in line uselessly.
Value missile, great point. So pre-approval's in place. What's the next big thing?
The next big thing is having a conversation about, lifestyle, needs, wants, assessing how much you're willing to compromise on certain points. Because you certainly can't have it all, and especially in a seller's market like Boston. You can do well, and you can certainly realize certain things about your home search that you may not have realized. So just talking about that and exercising just the thought experiment of what it would be like to hypothetically live in a certain neighborhood. Where's the grocery store? Where's the commuter rail? What's the noise like? Who the neighbors are? All those things come into play. So just getting used to a certain neighborhood, I think, is the number one thing.
Getting pre-approved, being prepared, figuring out where you want to go and what you're willing to sacrifice or not sacrifice. Yep. Let's talk about urgency.
Sure.
A lot of people say, oh, it's the biggest investment I'm ever going to make. I need time. Mm-hmm. Time is of the essence to move quickly in today's market, or you're probably going to lose.
Yes, you're absolutely going to lose. even as recently as yesterday, my wife and I were looking at properties, and it was on the market for a day. And we went to a group showing that I thought was a private showing. It was swarmed with people. I was like, thanks for telling me, Frank. Anonymous Frank. But so I got there and I looked around. My wife and I were looking at each other. We're like, wow, this is great. And I did some research on MLS and figured out my offer strategy for myself, which is totally weird. But I did it, and I found out this morning it was before we could even put an offer package together, it's off the market.
It's off the
under
market.
agreement.
Sold. Amazing how things are going quick. People don't want to hear it, but you got to be ready.
Right. I mean, just because I'm a realtor doesn't mean it can't happen to me. It just did. So
Pre-approval.
Yeah.
Know what your likes and dislikes are, and what you can live with.
Yep.
Be ready to go. Sense of urgency. You'll hopefully be able to land a property.
Absolutely. Yeah, hopefully.
Well, good luck in your own situation.
Thank you so much.
If you'd like to connect with Jason, the best way to do that?
Fenway J is my Instagram handle. That's sort of my virtual resume. But otherwise, you can on my Instagram profile, call, email me with any questions. Thanks for listening.
Check us out right here on boston.com. Joined right now by Amanda Arad from the Rollo team in Boston. Amanda, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
For those that are potentially renting right now, thinking about jumping into the market, when is the right time to start actually looking?
So I'd say pretty much right away. You really want to make sure that you're starting sooner rather than later, making sure that you are prepared and that you've started that process early. So just because you're renting now doesn't mean that you're going to buy tomorrow, but it also doesn't mean you're going to wait 3 years to buy. So you really want to start that preparation process early. Start working with a realtor so you can get a feel for the market, what the price points are compared to what your rent is, and also to start looking at working with a mortgage lender sooner rather than later. Even if you're not quite sure if you have enough of a down payment yet, you can always start saving over the next 12 months. But you want to really be working with that mortgage lender and your realtor earlier rather than later. That way, if there's like a ding on your credit or anything like that, you have that time to fix it and get all of that sorted out.
That's a great point, because there's a lot of things that can come up and create wrinkles, so to say, in the process. And you'd rather get those out on the early side,
Right.
so you can fix them and straighten them out.
Absolutely.
So when it's time to buy, you have that all squared away.
That's right.
Makes a big difference. Let's talk about actually starting the search. Does it make sense for people to go online first?
Absolutely. I think Zillow, Trulia, all of those websites are an excellent source. It's kind of like replacing that first initial showing. So you can kind of shop online, but then you want to, so it's like buying a pair of shoes. You shop online, you find the pair of shoes you like, but you want to go in and try them on and make sure that they actually fit. So kind of taking a look online at what you like, what you don't like, and then going out and taking a look at some of your favorite options in person with a realtor is a great start.
Absolutely, because shopping online makes sense. It gives you a general feeling of what's out there.
Right.
But it can't be replaced, or it doesn't replace being on the ground with an agent in the neighborhood, understanding the ins and outs of the property. That does make a huge difference.
Absolutely. Definitely.
Thank you, Amanda. And if you'd like to connect with Amanda and the Eric Rollo team, you can check out ericrollo.com for your real estate needs. And remember, we have more tips just like this right here on boston.com.